Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I've read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is the author of the book In the Rearview Mirror, no other than Mr. Lee Livingston.
How are you, Daniel?
I'm fabulous, fabulous like you, Mr. Lee. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Well, I'm 82 now. I wrote this book in 2011 as a tribute to my best friend. And he, I'll give you the first line of the book, and because it
Yes,
tells
go
the
ahead.
story. It's uh, a best friend in high school is a friend for life, unless he shoots himself at 29. And so this is a tribute to my best friend, and it's about a road trip that we took in 1961 across the United States, hitchhiking all the way back from Sequoia National Park to Cleveland, Ohio. And it's the reason that he committed suicide is that he was a bipolar, but none of us knew it. This was before bipolar, and he was brilliant and audacious and out there. And this trip was like a wonderful adventure through a different country, and the different country was America in 1961. It was wide open. The internet highways were just being built, and I we drove out to California in my 1956 Pontiac Star Chief, which I drove off a cliff near Sequoia. It fell only 15 feet, but it fell straight down, and we could not drive the car back to Cleveland. So this is the adventure of us going back to Cleveland, all the things we did, and flashbacks and flash forwards. And eventually you come to the point where you get little hints as to what happened to this wonderful guy. And his name is Bob Lyons, but he had the black nickname of Dango, and that's what we called him. And so this is the story of that trip and the story of the characters and the adventures we had in 4 or 5 days when we made the trip back.
Mr. Lee Livingston, thank you so much for sharing your story to the world. What message or feeling did you hope to leave with your readers?
Oh, it's a story about friendship, and especially about high school friendship. And the era of 1961 and how totally open and different it was from today. Today, with cell phones, you're never out of touch. In this era, when we were 18 years old, and what we did is we ended up our first trip, our first leg of our trip, we ended up in Vegas and lost any money we had, so we had to hitchhike. But these are two boys, 18-year-olds, middle class, white upper middle class, in an era before racial strife. Although there was racial strife in Jim Crow South, there was no racial strife yet in Cleveland and in the northern United States. And so some of our rides were with the couple of black guys. We had all kinds of adventures, and what I want to leave is, and what you write this, I gave it to my high school class at our 50th reunion, the book, and then we published it And the reviews and everything were so good that we're republishing it now with Defiance Press. And what I'm finding out is that there's so much, in the reviews, there's so much more to the book than what I did. It was a tribute to my best friend, but you learn about friendship in the 1960s. You learn about how open people were in the 1960s and how open the country, the roads, there was very little traffic, the new freeways you could get on. And it's what I found out is that people, find out there's all kinds of things in here that people are in tune to. The friendship, the way America was, the openness of people when they talk to you would pick us up, and we'd learn their life stories. One family that picked us up was actually, there were 5 of them in the car. It was an old beat up Plymouth. And they took us, like 300 miles in this old beat up Plymouth with the kids. And we would play with the kids and tell stories. And they told us that they were leaving their farm, that it had failed, and they were going back to their family in Connecticut. And the openness and what they shared with us, the food, and this family probably had no money at all. Whereas another guy that picked us up was a guy that had struck it rich in the oil fields in a 1961 Cadillac Eldorado with all kinds he had a TV in the car. He had his his common law wife, and he gave us a whole rundown on his philosophy of life, which was he made this money. He was now getting into motorcycle assembly, had bought an assembly plant in Compton, California, and was also had porn magazine stores. And he was making money that way, made all kinds of money. He hated the police. He was the nicest guy. And his in-law wife sort of took a liking to Dango. And, that's almost got us in a little trouble, but didn't. But he had also been in Leavenworth, for God's sake. So that's the extremes of the people we met were fantastic. It also tells a lot about Cleveland, Ohio, which I don't know if you know this, but at one time, Cleveland, Ohio was the richest city in the United States about the turn of last century into the 20s, because Rockefeller started in Cleveland, right? Cleveland had steel refineries and was booming. And they built Shaker Heights and Cleveland Heights, 2 of the most beautiful suburbs. But in 1961, it was the biggest. It was a wonderful black city, but it was segregated. Basically, it was an economic segregation. But the relationships between 2 prep school boys, 2 18-year-olds, middle class. I mean, we would go down to downtown Cleveland, and we'd go into their clubs and share their music and bring our dates down from the Shaker Heights and Cleveland Heights. And so this was before the riots, before JFK got killed. I kind of called 1961 maybe that was the apex year before the United States started to, maybe when JFK got shot, and then when Martin Luther King got shot, the United States started to fall apart a little bit. And things were neat. And then, of course, Vietnam. So this is all before that. This is in the 3 years or 4 years before that this trip took place. And with flashbacks and flash forwards, it tells a little bit of the story of this character, Dango, who was my best friend, and how we lived and how he struggled with his problem. And what you find out is that it would affect him when he drank, and what happened to him in college and things. So it's really a look at the early 1960s in Cleveland, when America was in terrific shape, and before Vietnam, before JFK got shot, and I don't know. That's what I would love people to get out of this, is what America was like and what this wonderful character was like.
Mr. Lee, do you see the book more as a journey of regret, growth, or reconciliation?
Oh, it's definitely a journey of growth. I was an 18-year-old. This is a memoir. It reads like a novel. It's very fast, and it's a fun read. I mean, I read you the opening sentence to tease you. I mean, you want to learn a little. You definitely want to find out about this character because he's so out there, and he's so smart, and he's fun. And I was, in a sense, I'm the documentarian, but in this traveling across country, we see so much, do so much, hop a train. It's all the stuff you think. But this is a journey of growth for both of us because we're both 18 and had never really seen America before. This is eye-opening into America and into our growing up. And I'm not sure we totally grew up, but it certainly opened our eyes a lot.
Mr. Lee, how do the characters in the story confront their past? And does everyone find peace?
This is in a sense a middle class heroic story. I mean, this is not. Neither one of us were poor or we were middle class white boys, without a care in the world, and we go out there, and all of a sudden we're thrown into hitchhiking across country, and it's a wonderful, eye-opening experience. And so it's a road story. Like many road stories, like Kerouac a little, I guess, and on the road, except we're not smoking pot and going places. This is not a downer like his story. This is an upper. Even though Dango, this wonderful character, ends up finding the only way he finds peace, and that's because a lot of us, it wasn't as well known then about bipolar diseases. So Dango, when he turns 29, is doing very well and living a terrific life. But at some point in bipolar, there's black holes for bipolar people. And if they don't see it, or if they don't find it till it's too late, they tend to commit suicide. It's this, in this case, he did, but I don't want this to be a downer story, because the story of these years is fun, and it's upper, and it's terrific. And bipolar people are very smart, and their mood swings are incredibly, and in this case, it got him.
What was the most emotionally challenging scene for you to write?
The whole book, because I mean, this is a story. If I didn't write it until I was 68 or 70, and so this was a catharsis for me. This was my high school best friend, and you know, I left Cleveland, which I love Cleveland and Shaker Heights. Anybody that lives in Cleveland should buy this book just for the memories of Cleveland in the 60s. But then I went to California, and then once he committed suicide, I didn't make any connections back with Cleveland again until my high school, my 50th high school reunion in 2011. And that's when I wrote the book, and that's when I gave it to my high school buddies. And, you know, they all wanted me to publish it. And so I did. And it's gotten great reviews. It won the Beverly Hills Book Award. But the whole writing of the book was cathartic in the sense that I got to say goodbye to him and to realize sort of how close the friendship was and how wonderful it was.
Indeed. How did the relationships in the book evolve when the past comes back into the view?
It how does it evolve? It's interesting. I mean, it evolved. It started when we were maybe 13 in junior high school. There's even a story about that when we used to ride bikes through. There's a flashback about that. We were kind of, you know, wild boys for and we rode our bikes through Lakeside Cemetery, which is a huge cemetery in Cleveland, and it's between the Heights and the downtown city, and it's a hill, and you can race your bikes through it. And so that's when we first met, and that was the first time he stayed overnight at my house. And then we were friends until we graduated high school, and then we kept in touch, met a couple of times, and that's in the book. But the friendship stayed until the end. And I don't think at the end I was, you know, I didn't know anything about his sickness, and I didn't help him. So we were both 29, and I was married and into my own, you know, I became a creative director in advertising, and he was in stocks and bonds. So we would contact, but he actually came to California, and we met a couple of times, but I didn't see it, and I didn't help him, that's for sure, in those last years. And you know, something became too dark, and he said goodbye.
Mr. Lee, how long did it take to write this book, and did your perspective shift during the process?
Did my what?
Did your perspective shift during the process?
It did, I guess. It took me a year and a half to write the book. And as I said, it was cathartic, and I got it out, but it really reflects the two boys and the lives that take place in the early 60s. And by hitchhiking across country, we see so much of the country that was, if you think about it now and you look at the country now, the country in 1961 was still brand new. I mean, the Second World War had been over. I was in a sense, not even a boomer. I was a war baby. So we were wild, and we got out into the world. 61, the 50s, which were very staid, were over. My high school experience in the 50s was I mean, compared to high school now, I'm sure it was like puritanical almost. But the writing of the book was terrific, and very hard. I mean, I had an editor from UCLA who actually picked me out of a class and said, "You got to write this book," and she helped me, and it was terrific.
Mr. Lee, if you had a soundtrack of your book, what song would best represent its emotional journey?
Bob Seger's song,
Yes.
against the wind. In fact, I cite it in the book, but I wish I didn't know now what I didn't know then. And just it's about him. And I wish I had known then, about his sickness, so I could have helped this terrific guy. And maybe I think bipolar. I think they give them drugs now, and there are various things that can help with bipolar. But
Yes.
that would certainly be the song. There some great songs in 1961. And we put the songs in the story. One of the songs was my favorite is "Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow," which was a Carole King song sung by the Shirelles.
Mm-hmm.
So and also, it's interesting. 1961, I just saw the Bob Dylan biopic, the movie. I think it was called "Complete Stranger," and the opening, when the camera comes on and he's crossing the Brooklyn Bridge, entering New York, the 1961 comes up. So that was the year Bob Dylan, the year we were crossing the United States hitchhiking. Bob Dylan was entering New York to become to change rock and roll, because he did change rock and roll. And I mean, I never knew much about Dylan. It's funny because I was into black music, and Dylan. I never knew Dylan wrote "Blowing in the Wind." I always thought Peter, Paul, and Mary wrote
Yes.
"Blowing in the Wind," and I should have known better.
So, Mr. Lee, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, Abstract Essay in its fifth season, Abstract Poetry in the second season, and of course, Book 101 Review in its fifth season, People, Comedy 101 in second season, Food 101 in the fifth season, and Geography 101 in the third season, as well as Love Letters and My Baby Podcast, Mental Health 101 and Movie 101 Review in its third season, as well as My Music 101. Please do listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Lee, what do you hope readers carry with them after they close the final page?
Well, I don't know about that, but I would love to give you the website where you can see a whole map of the trip and read about it. And that's openroads1961.com. And you get to take a look at the book and do a little traveling back to those years.
Indeed, Mr. Lee Livingston, thank you so much for sharing in the Rearview Mirror to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your book?
Oh, thank you.
Yes, so where they can buy in the Rearview Mirror?
Right now, it's just coming. It's just been republished, so you can get it at openroads1961.com and Amazon right now, but it'll be in bookstores shortly.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Lee Livingston because if you support him, more and more and more empowering stories to come. So, Mr. Lee, thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you, Daniel, for having me.
You are most welcome and more to come, people. See you soon.